everybody, it's vanburman here and welcome to my budget PC build. Now I'm going to show you the specs on screen in a minute. This is the case that it went in. If you've seen any of the previous videos you already know what's in it, but just for clarification you can see I've got an i5 4950, that's clocked at 3.3 GHz, it's non-overclockable so it's going to have to stay like that. 8GB of Kingston DDR3 1600 MHz RAM. It came with a Western Digital Blue 500GB hard drive. I have subsequently put an SSD in there, which has been quite nice. It came with a small form factor case, which you'll see in just a second, and that came with a 300 watt 80 plus certified power supply. That was £125, and then I got a GTX 1050 off eBay, a manufacturer refurb, for £80. So altogether, this computer was put together for £205. And I'm just going to show you really what you can get for your money. Now obviously you didn't have to have the SSD, didn't have to get the new power supply, put it in the bigger case. You know, it would have garnered these results from just being in the small case you can see now itself. So we're going to look at a few games and see how it performed overall, and then yeah, you guys can let me know what you think of it. Really? So the first game we're going into is Total War Warhammer. Now I ran the in-game benchmarking tool and everything was on Ultra. It's on Ultra for pretty much all of these games, and it gave us an average of 57, which, you know, is a bit shy of the 60, you know, the golden mark, but other than that, yeah, no complaints at all. It was quite good in battles and everything, no particular issues. The gameplay's a little bit stuttery. I think that's because of shadow play. It wasn't what I experienced or anything like that. So moving on to The Witcher 3. Now obviously The Witcher 3 is a really demanding game, so I had to scale it back a little bit to high, and the Hairworks was only on Geralt. I think that's part of the high preset. So came away with an average of 40 FPS, a minimum of 26. I'll be honest with you, more than playable all the way through. Tried it in some heavy combat, and yeah, everything held up really well. I mean, obviously you could lower the lower the graphics a little bit and get a lot more performance out of it. So on to Fallout 4. Now this game is capped to 60 FPS anyway, so that's maybe affected the average frame rate. Probably would be a bit higher if it was uncapped. But overall it got a 57, and it was quite nice. I mean, I had a few drops. As you can see, the minimum is 34. It did hit that on a few occasions, moving in and out of areas and such, but yeah, it was pretty good. I don't know why I picked this bit of footage to show you the loading screen. That was a bit silly. Oh well, you'll have to forgive me on that one. So moving on to Shadow of Mordor, we then got into using the in-game benchmarking tool again. Now, in the graphic settings for Shadow of Mordor, it does say, you know, you need to have like 4 GB of RAM for the high textures and 6 GB for the ultra. So I just selected the high textures anyway, just to see what we'd get, and it came out with an average of 54. The gameplay itself, in fact, was indicative of this. It was in the high 40s. So yeah, I was quite impressed by this, and obviously, those of you that know, the Shadow of Mordor benchmark is one of the more demanding out there. So really good performance in this particular benchmark, I must say. So moving on to Grid 2. Now I don't know why the footage was captured in a 4:3. I did play it at 1080p on that, everything maxed out as much as possible. And yeah, game ran perfectly smooth. There's absolutely no issues there at all. You have to excuse my absolutely horrendous driving. I'm not particularly good at these type of games, but it is quite pretty and it does look good. Not quite as good on this particular bit as it did before, but yeah, I was trying to smash into him so I could get around the corner. I eventually did win, don't worry. Got there in the end. But yes, Grid, more than playable. Pretty much every game more than playable with this setup, to be honest. But yeah, don't want to spoil it for you too much there. So coming up next, we've got just some random Rocket League footage, which looks really funny as it goes in, but never mind. It's one of them. So I took a load of other games that I did benchmarks on and just compiled them into one graph for you to see. So all of the averages are roughly around the 100 mark, as you can see. I think only Tiger Knight Empire War is below 100. So all of these games had absolutely everything turned up to the max. So max anti-aliasing, max textures, obviously 1080p. And yeah, we all did pretty well. The only one game that had a minimum of under 60 was Empire War. Shogun 2 is the 720p benchmark, I should mention that, but it's just so it's all uniform with any other sort of hardware I decide to do, in the future. And these are all games that, well, that that you would want to play. If you had a gaming computer, you want to play a bit of Rocket League, that's fine. You want to play a bit of Toxic, you want to go back and play some old school Left 4 Dead. This computer has basically got you covered on everything, to be honest. I've been really impressed. So for those of you that wanted to see a few maybe synthetic benchmarks, I did a few. I also did a pass mark benchmark as well, which you're going to be seeing now. So first coming up, we've got the 3D Mark Cloudgate score. We've then got the Firestrike score and the Heaven benchmark score as well. None of these are particularly that impressive, but yeah, just thought you might want to see it. And the pass mark score is actually really good for the whole system. It got 85 percentile. So out of all the 100 computers in the world, it came in the top 85%. So that was really good, and I'm really impressed with what I've got. And like I say, since I have bought this computer, Encore PCs have increased their prices on their more higher end equipment quite considerably. If this was on there now, I think it would probably go for 170. Maybe they realised they made a mistake. But no, I'm really happy and really impressed with what I've got from here, and yeah, it's been brilliant. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I'm going to be trying out more graphics cards in the future using this setup. Going to make a few tweaks to it, which I'll talk about in a later video. But yeah, any suggestion, guys, comments, let me know. I'll see you all on the next one, guys. Goodbye.